What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Danielle Smith, contrary to popular belief, I believe firmly, is doing what's necessary for Albertans. There's a lot on both sides of the spectrum claiming that Danielle either does or doesn't know what she's doing, or she is stalling when it comes to Alberta independence, or playing the long game to win over a federal vote. However you want to slice it, I believe in my heart of hearts, Danielle is doing the right thing by showing she's actually committing to the promises she made to Albertans by putting things on ballots, on referendum ballots that actually matter to Albertans. I'm going to get into one of those topics here on today's video, but before I do, I want to share something I'm very excited to talk about with you guys. I wouldn't have known about this happening had I have not checked my reliable news sources. People often ask me, Fringe, where do you get your news sources from? And I'm happy to share with you today a company called Ground News. The media used to be trusted, and most people used to be on the same page or at least be able to respectfully disagree. So what went wrong? Well, to answer that, let me know if this sounds familiar. You're scrolling through social media and you see a news story with this rather inflammatory caption. The story seems important, but you're not familiar with the source or how credible it is. You then skim through the comment section quickly to find it's no help to you, and you leave more confused than you were before and give up not knowing what to trust. Instead, let's read the story on Ground News, a website and app developed to give readers an easier way to be well informed without the chaos as a news comparison platform. They gather articles from every source reporting on a given story so that you can compare coverage and see which angles get emphasized or ignored, helping you see every side of every story. And that's why for each news outlet they show important context, like the political bias of a news source, how reliable their reporting is, and who owns them. This approach allows to create the bias bar, which shows if any story is receiving balanced coverage from left, center, and right-leaning sources, or if the coverage skews toward one particular side. The blind spot feed lets you take back control, showing you stories from both the left and right so you can walk a mile in someone else's news and adopt a more balanced news diet. And unlike many news sites, they don't run ads, so they're not concerned with keeping you glued to their website with clickbait and selling your time to the highest bidder. Instead, they ask readers to subscribe to support their work to get unlimited access to features like the blind spot, feed ownership, info factuality ratings, and more. So join their community of well-informed subscribers from across the world and the political spectrum and get 40% off unlimited access to the best features with Advantage subscriptions. Then you can navigate whatever comes next with confidence that you're seeing the full story for every story. Visit the link in the description or on screen during the video to claim your discount. Ground News is an amazing, amazing website and app. I love using it. It's where I get all my stories from. Very easy to find what I'm looking for. And again, to get verification on who's reporting on those stories, folks, head over to groundnews.com/fringe, claim your 40% off, scan the QR code in the video you just saw. That will take you there as well. Make sure to get their Vantage plan because it unlocks all of the features you need and it supports Ground News. Again, they're not using clickbait or ad. It helps them continue to bring you what's important when it comes to your filtered news or your preferential news to get away from the mainstream media. Or if you prefer to read the mainstream media, that's another option for you as well. Let's get into today's story with Danielle Smith. Now, Danielle, of course, has come out full force. One of the biggest requests that Albertans had was an Alberta pension plan. We've noticed that kind of went on the back burner for a while. And many people had criticized Danielle saying, hey, where is the Alberta police force? When are we going to see a provincial police force in Alberta? When are we going to get rid of the RCMP? Danielle came out yesterday, 2 days ago at the time of filming this video, to talk about Alberta Next, a series of town halls in which they were going to listen to Albertans across the province to hear what they had to say, and the most popular opinions were going to end up on a referendum ballot in 2026. Now, as we head and talk about Alberta prosperity and independence, I think it's best that whoever can get to these town halls, these Alberta Next panels, I think it's within your interest to attend these meetings, talk about independence, talk about a referendum vote. I think it's the only way to make sure Danielle's people are on the ball that this is what Albertans want. But one of the things that are going to be discussed at these panels is, in fact, an Alberta provincial police force. Finally, we're talking about ridding ourselves of the RCMP, getting further away from the government. Let's take a look at what Danielle has to say.
The Alberta Next panel is touring Alberta to hear from Albertans on how our province can better protect ourselves from Ottawa's economic attacks, while building a more prosperous, strong, and sovereign Alberta within Canada. A provincial referendum on some of these ideas is coming in 2026. But what's on that referendum ballot and what happens next for Alberta is up to you. One idea being discussed by the panel is creating an Alberta police service to take over community policing from the RCMP. Today, roughly 80% of Albertans are served by local municipal police services, such as the Calgary, Edmonton, and Lethbridge City Police Services. However, Albertans living in most rural communities and a few mid-sized cities like Red Deer, Fort McMurray, and Airdrie are policed by the RCMP under Alberta's policing contract with Ottawa. And as is the case with most federal agreements, Alberta is getting shortchanged. To be clear, RCMP police officers and staff aren't the problem. They do all they can to protect us with the resources they have. The problem is Ottawa. Because the federal government is failing to provide the number of promised officers and resources to Alberta communities under the policing contract, response times are slow, staffing is stretched thin, and officers are often moved across the country at a moment's notice, resulting in little connection to the Alberta communities they serve. Furthermore, because of French language requirements, English-speaking Alberta officers do not qualify for senior RCMP positions. And ultimately, the RCMP's policing priorities are chosen by the federal government in Ottawa, rather than the provincial government in Alberta. Even the federal government itself has recently stated the RCMP should transition away from contract policing when current agreements expire in 2032. Ontario and Quebec have had provincial services for over 100 years. Why not Alberta? So, what are the benefits of Alberta withdrawing from the federal policing contract and creating our own provincial police service to provide community policing? 1. More local, more accountable. An Alberta police service would be run by and for Albertans, accountable to our province and not to the federal government in Ottawa. Police officers and support staff could build long-term careers in the Alberta communities they know and love. And any current RCMP officers and support staff working in Alberta would be invited to join a new Alberta police service. 2. Safer rural communities. With local recruitment and stable placements, rural response times would improve considerably from where they are now, and coverage would become more reliable and tailored to each municipality and region. This is especially important in underserved rural Alberta communities. 3. Flexible, made-in-Alberta solution. Most Albertans already have local police services. The province would assist larger communities like Red Deer, Fort McMurray, and Airdrie to transition to their own police services, while smaller, rural communities would be policed by the new provincial police service. And of course, nothing would change for Edmonton, Calgary, and other communities that already have municipal police services in place. But there are also potential drawbacks to consider. 1. Startup costs. Establishing a new police service requires significant initial investment. Hiring officers, buying equipment, building training infrastructure, and training personnel. Ultimately, the startup costs could reach into the hundreds of millions over several years. 2. Loss of some federal operational funding. The federal government currently covers 30% of RCMP contract policing costs. It is therefore likely that there will be additional ongoing operational costs for the province. However, municipalities would not be saddled with those costs. So, should Alberta create an Alberta Police Service to take over community policing from the RCMP? For more information, visit alberta.ca/next.
So what I will say about this is fantastic. I think it's great that Danielle Smith, much to scrutiny, set up these panels. Again, a lot of people were saying, well, these panels are just another money waster. It's just more of the government stalling. What you're seeing the day after these panels were announced is that Danielle Smith is prepared to listen to what Albertans want. One of the things that gets touched on in this video is the amount of money that's going out to Ottawa versus what we're getting back in terms of the RCMP, which is a lack of resources. We're not getting the coverage that we need, that there's delays in our own ability to police and monitor the province. You know what would make things fantastic? You know what would make things a lot more affordable? Is if the emissions cap was removed and if Alberta was able to pay for that police force without having to worry about any possible hindrance coming on top of those in rural Alberta. This is where I say, for anybody who's a naysayer, for anybody who says Danielle's not doing enough, she's sitting on the fence, she's a federalist, she's just playing it simple, this is a step in the right direction. Do I think that Danielle has done the be-all, end-all? No, I don't. I think that there's more that can be done, but considering that this happened the day after these panels were announced, it tells me that Danielle is serious about listening to Albertans. She's serious about following through with the things she discussed with Albertans when it comes to a pension plan, police forces, all while talking about reducing the required amount of signatures to host a referendum on a ballot. There's a lot of people out there right now that talk about Danielle and say, I don't really think she's going to follow through with the whole reducing of signatures required. I don't think that she's pushing for a referendum. I think she's a federalist, you know, what have you, when it comes to those opinions. I hope that's not the case. But I think that actions speak louder than words. And when you put this into reality with other premiers and other members of the federal government, she's doing more in terms of backing up what she promised to give Albertans than any other politician I've seen in recent years. She talked about a police force. She's hearing Albertans' thoughts on a police force. One thing I appreciate about these Alberta Next panels is that she's taking the time to listen to whether or not Albertans want this, so that if there is a cost associated with it, Albertans know what they're getting into. They voted for it on a ballot. I think this is the way provinces should be run. I think that government should always be asking their constituents how they want to run things, rather than just assuming and spending. This is a positive. At least I think it's a positive. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think Danielle's making the right call with these panels? Will you be attending these panels? And again, as soon as I know where those panels are going to be, I'm sure you can go to alberta.ca.next. They'll probably put the lists on there. You can always go and check that out for yourself. But will you be attending these panels if there's one near you? Will you be talking to them about independence? Will you be talking to them about other issues you feel are absent in Alberta? Let me know down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, I hope this video's earned your subscription. Make sure as you hit that button, you click the bell for all notifications so that you never miss when a video drops on this channel. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night on Friday Night Fringe, our weekly live streaming show where we talk about everything that happened this week in Canadian politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, joined with the beautiful Mrs. Fringe, as we talk to you guys inside of the greatest YouTube community on the platform to hear what you guys have to say. I always look forward to hearing what you have to say in those live streams. I most importantly look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. Don't forget to go into the description down below, folks, or head over to groundnews.com/fringe and pick up your 40% off for the Vantage plan with Ground News. It's a fantastic service. I can't recommend it enough. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.